Hey, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. It's Grandpa on the beach in Jack's Beach. And today I want to talk to you about Jack's Beach. That's what we call it, but on a map, it's usually Jacksonville Beach. Today I want to tell you 7 things that I love and hate about Jacksonville Beach, Florida. You might guess what one of them is right now. Okay, so there's some noise in the background with the waves and everything like that. We'll talk about the waves in a few minutes, but right now I want to start with the first of the 7 things that I both love and hate about Jacksonville Beach. And the first one is the weather. What I love about it is it hardly ever gets below freezing. So you can go out swimming in the winter and come back, take an outdoor shower. We can go away for a few days, even when it's cold out, and not have to worry that the pipes are going to freeze or anything like that. Like in Stone Harbor, my parents used to shut the house down right around Thanksgiving. And then they wouldn't open it up until right around Easter. And we would come down on the weekends, but in the wintertime, they would actually have a plumber come in, turn all the water off, and drain all the water out of the house so the pipes wouldn't freeze. So I might be getting a boat there. We'll see. Some live fishing action. And we're good for now. Another thing is that hurricanes usually miss us here in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Now the hate is, and I don't really hate it, because I would much rather deal with heat than deal with really cold temperatures all the time. But the hate is, summers here are hot. Today, it's probably in the low 90s. Now, on the beach, it feels pretty nice. And I'm going to be going in the water after I'm done this thing, and I'll be getting nice and cool. So, and hopefully the tide won't come up so much that it hits us while we're doing this. So it's if we were in Jacksonville itself right now, it would be very, very hot. And it rains almost every afternoon. So when I'm getting ready to smoke something on my Kamado grill, I have to deal with that. Possibility of showers this afternoon. So sometimes I have to start early, start late, deal with rain showers while I'm in the middle of the cook and all that kind of stuff. So moving on to the second thing that I love and hate about Jacksonville Beach. And I mostly love this, and it's the beach. Now what's so great about it? It's the ocean, bro. You can go swimming in there. You can go stand-up paddleboarding, which I'm going to start doing again, surfing, which I hope, Lord willing, I'll be able to do again. Surf fishing. I love coming down here and just putting the rod in the water and dealing with it. If I catch something, I catch it. Now, I just started a 3-day fast, so if I catch something, I'm pretty hungry right now. I might wind up just eating it right out of the ocean, scaling it, cutting it, and eating it. Just joking. Another thing about the beach that I love, it's a multicultural atmosphere here. There's people that are talking different languages that look different, just like Jesus loves the little children, yellow, black, and white, brown, purple, and every color in the crayon box. You hear people speaking Spanish, like Arla, like your mom does. You hear people speaking in Arabic tongues, and Olive, your dad probably speaks Arabic, although I've never been any place where I've heard him do it. There's plenty of people that look like my daughter Courtney and my wife, your grandma. So it's good for people to be around people who look like them and sound like them, and it's just, you don't feel out of place. The minuses, and they're not really great ones. The water is kind of murky. It never looks much better than this. We're kind of used to the 10 years that we were down in Miami, and the water was aquamarine, just really awesome color, beautiful. Here, not so much. Also, it's very windy here. The waves are rough. It's hard to just go out swimming in there. Even on a day like this, so I don't have these great big waves. I might go get my boogie board, do a little boogie board, and these are the kind of waves to do that on. I wouldn't go surfing in this. Not at high tide anyway. This would be a low tide day. There's people walking their dogs on the beach. They're not supposed to be here at this time of day, from 9 to 5 during the summer. You're supposed to have your dogs on the beach. When dogs are allowed, they're supposed to be leashed. People don't do that. You're supposed to clean up after the dog poop. People don't do that a lot of times. I mean, most people do, but there are enough people. I caught a guy today. I took a picture of him, and just fortunately, the animal control was coming down the beach, and so I turned him in. And then the last thing that I hate is, because it's a beach town, there's tons of Airbnbs. Now, when your parents come here, they stay in an Airbnb, so it's a mixed blessing. There's Airbnbs because we don't have enough room in our house for everybody. We will barely have enough room for you, Olive, and Arlo when you come to visit us, maybe starting next summer. At least for Arlo next summer. Olive, it'll be a couple summers. The third thing, the cost of living. The housing crash hasn't hit here yet. Houses are still kind of affordable. Not like when we got here 4 years ago, but we could still afford to buy a house here. We just couldn't be 2 blocks from the ocean like we are now. But housing prices have spiked, so we're not looking to sell our house. And the general cost of living, like anywhere, is just up. There's been a ton of inflation for the last 3.5 years, and we're just dealing with it. Number 4 is walkability, and this is a big plus. We're 4 or 5 blocks away from a Whole Foods. They're within walking distance. There's Publix, 2 different Publix. There's restaurants. I can walk to my American Legion Club, have a beer, and UPS. If we have a package at UPS and it's small, sometimes I'll just walk over there with a backpack and grab it and come home. That's like 2 miles away. The minus is that if it's this time of year and you're out walking anywhere, you stink by the time you get to where you're going. You're a hot, drippy mess. The 5th thing is cyclability, so being able to bicycle places. The plus of that, the love, is that it's scenic here. The minus is that there's traffic, so I try to find ways to be away from the traffic or go during times of the day when there isn't much traffic. My favorite route is to the north. I go up through Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach, all the way up to the border of Hanna Park and come back. That's like 11 miles. I can make it into a 20-miler by going across the Intercoastal Waterway on Beach Boulevard and coming back. The 20-miler go down to Ponte Vedra, and I've found some ways that don't have a lot of traffic. I'm on a beach bike, so I have no problem like jumping on a sidewalk, going through grass, whatever I have to do to stay out of the traffic. But so when the wind is coming out of the south, I want to go southbound. So I usually get an 8-9 miler if it's a quick one. If I do the Beach Boulevard Bridge, it's maybe 17, 18 miles total. But it's nice. I mean, it's not as bike friendly as Miami-Dade was, but it's nice. Number 6 is runability. You, my friend, are on my running track. Now, I ran here this morning when it was low tide. Tide in about an hour and a half is going to be dead high tide. I don't run then. Hard sand is good on your ankles, your Achilles, which I've had problems with. I've had 2 torn Achilles. Wore a surgical boot until 270 days ago, although who's counting? So it's great, but I have to pick the time of day, and then also sometimes it's very, very hot when I come out here. So I have to take the weather, things that, appointments that I have, and I'm only running 3 days a week, and I'm only running usually a half hour at a time. So it's not a biggie, but I just deal with it. I try not to run on any other surface. No sidewalks, none of that. And the 7th and last thing is the proximity to the city of Jacksonville. Jacksonville is the largest city in the United States. But that's not people-wise. That's land-wise. It has a symphony. I've gone there to see two operas. I'm an opera geek, as you probably know. The Jacksonville Symphony. There's other concerts that I wouldn't mind seeing there, but opera's the most fun. I haven't found any place that does Shakespeare here, but there's one in Orlando called Orlando Shakes. It's a cool little venue, and they put on a few plays a year. So I went to one last year, and I'm sure that once the 2025 season is announced that I'll go to whatever they have. That's not far, about 2 hours. There's a place called the Florida Theater, which is an old historic theater. Grandma and I went to see the Gypsy Kings there. There's a theater in the historically African American community just northwest of downtown Jacksonville. And there's a theater called the Ritz there. We went and saw this jazz singer. She was really, really good. There's antiques, flea markets, any kind of restaurants. We try to cook our own food as much as we can. Even when we go on trips, we usually take our own food with us. So we're not big into that. The minuses are, I call it suburban blight. Now, urban blight means that the cities have devolved and turned into crap. But what I call suburban blight is that there's all these developments, and people need places to live. I'm not saying that, if you live in some development in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida, that you're a Cretan, you should go home or go back where you came from or anything like that. It's a beautiful place, but there's a lot of room to build, and they're building in every corner of it now, which causes a lot of traffic. So places, even 4 years ago when we got here, that didn't back up in the traffic, now sometimes back up, especially during rush hour. So that's my 7 things. I guess that's on. Anyway, haven't caught a fish yet. There's a surfer going right by my line, so maybe I'll catch a surfer. And it's a big boy, maybe I'll catch a whale. And peace out. You know who doesn't care about these storms? Pelicans. There's a green falcon carrying a fish.